And so I just have always wondered from that time, you were so incredibly generous with your time. You didn't know me at all. Um, and how are you able to be so generous with so many people outside of the CollegeBound Foundation and still get any of your job done?
Well, Estelle, that's very kind of you, and flattery gets you everywhere. But I would like to think that what I do today, what I've always done in my professional career, is just playing it forward. I truly believe that what I've done professionally has been with the support of great mentors, great supporters such as you, who see things in ways I don't see. They offer some great guidance, and my hope is to do the same thing. But I also think my military career might have laid the foundation for how I manage my work schedules. I often joke with my staff or my own children that I work at least a half a day. And a half a day for me would be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I think that
Mhm.
often um, I find that half a days are not enough. Um, not 5 days a week. You need to work 6 or 7 days a week, not half a day, all 7 days. But I truly think it's important to plan for meetings, to plan for the unexpected, to set time away each day to work on routine type things. And then on weekends, I think it's important to read. I think it's important to check out scholarly journals related to the business we're in. I think it's very important to not only read, but try to figure out how do you incorporate those resources into what you might do with your organization and your team. So, so I think it's important to always think about how to move the needle forward and realize that you can't get it done in a typical 9 to 5 workday.
Wow, great advice, and thank you for sharing that. That's something that I can use myself. So, thank you. How do you hone your skills at doing all of this? Everything that you've been able to do, is that from your military background or something else, a work background?
Well, I think honing of my skills is just the fear of failure. My predecessor at College Bound would often say, the college access game is not rocket science, but in many cases, we're in life-saving work. And I think it's important that if you truly believe that, there are lives of children and families at risk if you don't put your best foot forward. So I think for me, I know I don't know all of the answers. So I have to structure my time with trying to find answers, find solutions. So I think it's important to be a member of as many professional organizations related to college access as possible, and not just be a member, but find a way to donate what limited expertise I might have to be on the receiving end of others' expertise. I think it's important to be a voracious reader, emails, journals, newspaper articles. I think it's important not just to read, but to figure out how do you incorporate it in your work. And that incorporation may not take place for a year, but to stay organized so that you can put your finger on it 6 months from now or 2 years from now, because otherwise, I liken it to being a physician. When you go into an office to see a doctor, you're going to assume that he or she knows what has to be done. And if you come in the office, if you go into the office with a unique ailment that that doctor has maybe never seen or hasn't seen in years, you would hope
Mhm.
they can recall it, put their finger on it, and figure out how to make it happen for you to make sure you're healed. And I think that's how I like to approach my job.
Great, thank you. And I appreciate you mentioning about the journal and the reading and the importance of that. So that is one of the reasons why in our book, Thriving Higher Education Careers, we have a section in each chapter for journal writing. because that is really important. So thank you. That's the combination of what you talked about, the importance of reading and the journals and things like that. So great advice.
So obviously, I must be doing something right if it's a practice that you suggest. So we think.
Thanks.
No, it's absolutely true. I mean, I'm still struck. So now I know how you fit in all these people and projects, and it's because you don't sleep. So, so that now makes a lot more sense. But I guess I just still want to get back to the generosity of it. You've come to any number of Urban League events where maybe there's been 2 or 3 people, and yet you've given, um, you keep on coming back every year, and you give your presentations on FAFSA or any number of college topics. Um, you've been generous with me personally. You sat down with my nephew before he started college and had, a really earnest conversation with him about college and about race and everything in between. Um, so I say to you, so I ask you about this generosity. Um, does it does it also kind of fuel your mission, or is it something that gives you energy, or how do you benefit from being such a generous person?
Well, I guess I really never thought of it as being generous, but I do think that you did touch on something that is, what a great feeling to get a response, a positive response to what you share. And as I mentioned before, I'm playing back to what others have done with me as well. And I think that I appreciate an opportunity just to share, realizing that it's not always, received. It may not be followed, but if there's an audience of one willing to soak it in, I'm more than willing to share. And I think that again, I've benefited from that type of um, generosity as well. And I just think that it fuels a lot of what's being done because CollegeBound, we host events where we have 0 participants sometimes or a handful. So, it happens in more than one example. And I think it's something that we all experience one way or another.
And thank you, Jimmy, for that, because one of the things I've noticed in my career, and I'm sure in a lot of other people in education or higher education, is you never know the impact you're going to have when you're planting those seeds, when you share knowledge. People may come back, I know in my career, years later, you may not even know they were paying attention to your presentation. They'd be like, oh, I remember you said to do this and you said to do that and you gave advice on this and it resonated and it stayed with someone. So as we share information, you don't always know the impact it's going to make on someone's life years later.